time to roll out the big weights for event 2 of the Last Chance Qualifier. It's the 3-rep Max Deadlift. After this, we will be halfway towards finding the final 2 men and final 2 women who will move on to Madison, Wisconsin and the 2021 Noble CrossFit Games. After one event for the men, it's Khrennikov who sits atop the overall leaderboard. Dallin Pepper is in that number 2 spot as they finish first and second respectively in event number 1. Event number 2, as I said, time to lift big, the 3-rep Max Deadlift. There's a 20-minute window for the athletes to establish that. Spencer Panchik looking for his first trip to the CrossFit Games. 506 pounds, great lift, but only good enough for 16.
Right, and for Spencer, this is not the start he wanted. You know, he had a tough start at the West Coast Championships, West Coast Classic, and he kind of had to fight himself out of the hole. Luckily, he had enough events that he could do that. This weekend, not as many events, not as many chances.
Dallin Pepper was 2 pounds better than Spencer Panchik. Pepper at 508. And he was 2 places better than Spencer Panchik. He finishes 14th in the event.
Yeah, and Dallin is an athlete. I mean, I think, you know, for me, seeing him on the floor at the West Coast Classic, I was like, whoa, this is a teenager. I mean, the girth on that guy is amazing. So super impressive lift for Dallin Pepper.
Finally down to Oceania, where Con Porter, don't count this guy out, 521 on the barbell. He gets a top 10 finish. He takes 10th in this event.
He has so many plates on, he can't even put the clips on. He's got rubber bands holding those plates on the bar. This is what I love about Con. You know, he's been a CrossFit Games athlete, just a very kind of notable athlete for many years, but it's this colorful, you know, character that Con is that I love to see.
He is fired up. Khrennikov, your overall leader coming into the event, helping his cause here. Doesn't win the event, but he will finish 8th with a lift of 540 pounds.
Well, and I think a pretty barbell, a rainbow barbell is better to lift than a non-pretty barbell. Super impressive for Khrennikov. And like you said, Sean, that 8th place, I think, is going to set himself up well for the next 2 events and the totality of the weekend. Yeah,
starts off with a pair of top 10 finishes, a 1st and an 8th. Let's get you to our featured matchup for the men in event 2. Joel Gaudette and Chase Ingram have the call.
Chase Ingram, these athletes had 20 minutes with which to work. We have condensed it down to just their 3-rep best here. We start with Fabian Benito at 551.
Absolutely monstrous weight we're going to see from these top 6 athletes. And things to look for, new rules, is that re-grip at the bottom of the lift, and they have to keep their bar on the hand on the way down. Touch and go is no longer a thing with these big lifts this weekend.
It eliminates the chance to use the bounce and have that kind of excitement when you pull your final one. 3 seconds after the regrip to jump to that next pull. As we move to Nick Matthew now, this is at 555 pounds, and Chase, this is easy.
You see that, and one thing to look at is that his grip. He has that what we call a switch grip. One hand is grabbing underneath, the other hand is his hand is on top, and actually helps you stabilize and hold on to the barbell throughout the lift. So you'll probably see a lot of guys using that grip in these top lifts.
Nick Matthew missed the games by just 3 points, finishing 6th at the Granite Games. This is Mortega Sadoga, 557 pounds, the fittest in Iran.
I say switch grip, and right off the bat, we have a double overhand grip, narrow stance, hands just outside the knees. That's a very classic lifter position you would see for a setup, and that's amazing that he can pull that weight with that grip.
I was saying, that's crazy that he doesn't go with the mixed grip there. Tyler Christoffel now at 561, 31 years old, twice a Team Games athlete.
And look at the movement on the bar. Look at the bend on that bar as it comes up. And that's a really big benefit because that actually gets the bar moving before the plates even come off the ground.
So Christoffel in 3rd place with that at 561. It moves us up to 2nd place. This is Phil Toon out of Mesa, Arizona. He was 9th in the Atlas Games, beating Logan Collins by just 3 points to be here.
I just appreciate the dedication to the color blue in this position, not just the weight on the bar itself.
The fact that they have enough competition 45-pound plates. And look at the way he holds on.
Holy, 575.
You can tell there's a crowd that was there for that as well. Finally, Giannis Papadopoulos, that every weight they have is on that bar right now.
He has every weight I've ever lifted on that bar right now.
Every shape and size. 34 years old, the former wrestler was 6th at the Lowlands Throwdown, so he competes in an online format here as well. One of the fittest in Greece.
And he's just one of the strongest men in all of CrossFit. He made his big debut in Dubai a few years ago. He's got the best deadlift in the game with the best name to go with it.
Yeah, 595 pounds, not a one-trick pony. Again, 6th at the Lowlands. What kind of damage can he do this weekend?
Phil Toon and Giannis Papadopoulos took very different paths to the top 2 scores in the men's deadlift. Toon opened up at 405, then very quickly hit just shy of 450 and 510, all within roughly 3 minutes. Then made conservative jumps up to 575, hitting 6 lifts in 13 and a half minutes. Papadopoulos opens at 484, then taking bigger rests goes 528, 556, and 578 before a 3.5 minute break when he lines up for 595. Kenny Chesney would be proud because it's no shoes, no sleeves, and no problem for the big Greek as he lifts his way to 100 points.
Giannis Papadopoulos, 595, 20 pounds better than Phil Toon for 100 points and the event win. And it's Tyler Christoffel who finishes in 3rd place. After 2 events, Roman Khrennikov remains on top of the overall leaderboard, but Phil Toon moves up to 2nd. He is 4 points back. Dallin Pepper, he sits in 7th, still very much in contention, and he spoke with Nikki Brazier.
Event 2, that 3-rep max deadlift, also kind of great for a larger, more powerful athlete.
Yeah, so honestly, deadlift and like squatting, some of that raw power, I think will take, like I'm always working on it, and I think it'll take time to like really grow into my body and develop that strength. I'm lots better at some of the technical lifts relative to the field, but that'll come. But I actually was able to PR my deadlift by 3 pounds and then get it 2 more times. So we're stoked about that. Yeah, I was really happy with the way it went. That was probably the workout I was most concerned about or worried. I wasn't super worried, but like probably the one I didn't know where I was going to finish. And so to be able to PR, like I know that's the absolute best I could do. So we're feeling good about it.
That's awesome.
Dallin Pepper had that great career as a teenage athlete, and now he's starting to show why people are so excited about what he might be able to do as an individual.
Yeah, 3-time teen champ, very impressive, only 19 years old, and he was so impressive at the West Coast Classic, specifically for me when he went head-to-head for a while with Tola Morinquinho on that snatch event. You know, we've seen a lot of, a few of the teen girls kind of cross over into the individual, of course, notably, most notably Haley Adams, and then now Emma Carey and Mal O'Brien. What we haven't seen is a male athlete kind of cross over from that teen division into the individual division successfully, especially so soon after they were a teen. I think Dallin Pepper is the guy we have to look to as the first one that's going to be able to do that.
Meanwhile, Roman Khrennikov, 2 top 10 finishes, a 1st and an 8th. He's on top of the overall leaderboard. We still have 2 events to go, but if he's able to hang on, he gets a spot. But now the question is, can he make it? I really want to see him compete in person, but it's not a guarantee he can get here.
Right. I mean, this is an athlete we have been dying to see at the Games since he dominated the 2018 European Regional. Everybody has wanted to see this gentleman compete live, head-to-head with all of the best. And obviously, he very much deserves to be here. Like you said, Sean, the question is, he's had trouble getting in via visas, and if he does qualify, which he very likely could, will he actually be able to make it into the U.S. to compete? And I really hope so, because you know, when you're talking about the best competing against the best, he should be in that conversation.
100%. And like you said, and like I said, a lot of people want to see him compete in person with the best in the world. Let's go over to the women's side of things, and this is where we stand after just one event. It's Lucy Campbell on top of the overall leaderboard with 100 points, and Bailey Rogers hanging on to that 2nd spot. Some notable lifts heading into our featured matchup. Saghafi needed a big performance in this event. This definitely is not her strength. It showed 305 pounds, great lift, but only good for 25th.
Yeah, and it's understandable. Fee only weighs in at about 130 pounds, so this is not necessarily going to be her event, but 25th, that's kind of almost beyond damage control when, again, when you're talking about an event, a weekend that only has 4 events within it.
Karen Freyova had a great start in event 1. This won't help, though, her overall cause. 330 pounds, 7 spots better than Saghafi. She finishes 18th.
And actually, Sean, looking at her lifting this 330, And I'm sorry if I offend her, this looks like warm-up weight to me. I mean, the speed that that bar is lifting at, you just wonder. To me, it looks like she had a little more in the tank. I hope that's not a regret for her.
Christy Aramo O'Connell needed a top 10 finish, gets a top 10 finish. She takes 8th place with a lift of 356.
Sean, she has a listed body weight of 132 pounds. That means 356 is about 2.7 times body weight for Aramo O'Connell. Super impressive. Way to seize that opportunity.
Time for our featured matchup now for the women, and for that we send it back out to Joel Gaudette and Chase Ingram.
Victoria Campos, Chase Ingram leads us off here on the women's side, top 6 at 368 pounds. She's a Brazilian, an expat though. She is lifting today in Hong Kong.
The same rules applies as the men did. You can use any grip you want, but you must release the grip and lift within 3 seconds of your hands opening. Follow the bar down on the first 2, and then you can drop it after the third. And I was really hoping these weights to start a little bit lighter for my own ego as I watch these go on, and I know it's only going to get worse for me as these ladies continue on down the line.
The first shoeless and the first completely barefoot lift there for Victoria Campos as well, as we now take a look at Manon Onganese, the 28-year-old Belgian. The 3-second restart is how big a deal in all of this?
It's a very big deal. If you think about cycling a bar, especially with something like deadlift, being able to touch and go, and you'll see some people take a bit more liberty of that, and clang and bang is another way to approach this. Is getting that bounce is huge. These are 3 basically dead stop single rep maxes in a row. It is a massive game changer for this lift.
Manon into the Last Chance Online Qualifier, 8th in the lowlands. Now this is Emma Toll, made the games in 2019. Chase, here she is at 375.
And just good position, shoulders locking back. You see that retraction of the scaps. That's actually to secure the back, keep the bar close, up the body on the way up. That was fantastic technique for Emma Toll.
Christine Kohlenbrander, she was the strongest in the snatch event at the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge. She is one of the strongest at the deadlift here as well.
Which is saying a lot, because when you look at the difference between 2 lifts of a snatch and a deadlift, the snatch being so dynamic and more athletic, where this is just brute, absolute strength. And to see her at the top end of both of those speaks to her well-roundedness as an athlete.
And that's really big for Kohlenbrander. She'll finish top 3 here in event number 2 at the Last Chance Online Qualifier, trying to make her individual games debut. Now, how about Madeline Sturt? Chase 5'2", 136.
And that's
386 pounds.
And that's the thing about a deadlift. Like, you cannot look at an athlete and say who is going to be good, who is going to be bad for the most part. And seeing someone like Maddie Sturt at that size lift this weight is absolutely incredible.
She's lifting a bowl of Lucky Charms as well. Every color of plate is on that bar for Maddie Sturt. And then how about Oihana Moya at 392 out of Spain, the San Sebastian region. And Chase, this looks pretty.
I was going to say something, but I'm just going to enjoy this lift. My jaw is absolutely dropped to the floor right now.
8th at the German Throwdown. Her first open was just a couple of years ago in 2019, and she crushes a first-place finish in the 3-rep max deadlift.
Less is more with Oihana Moya in Event 2 as the Spaniard opens with 388 pounds, which would have given her the win with just that lift. But in the virtual setting, one can never be sure. So just in case, she rests 5 full minutes, bumps it up to 392, and sticks it. I'm gonna guess she's a Gwen Stefani fan because there is no doubt she is a rich girl when it comes to the deadlift as she takes home the win.
Oihana Moya, 6 pounds better than Maddie Sturt to pick up 100 points and the event win, and it's Christine Kohlenbrander with a lift of 382 pounds. She will take 3rd. After 2 events, it's Emma Toll in first place by 12 points over Valentina Rangel. Just 20 points now separate 2nd from 7th. Maddie Sturt, she rebounds from a 17th in event 1 with a 2nd in event 2. She now is in 7th place overall, and she spoke with Nikki Brazier.
Looking at event 2, the 3-rep max deadlift, the fact that we've got more than 1, no one's maxing out just for 1, so we've got 3, that kind of changes things up, right? I mean, how does it affect you in relative terms to the number you could pull for a 1-rep max?
When I saw this, I was stoked. Like, deadlift is probably my favorite lift and my strongest lift. So yeah, it honestly couldn't be any better for a max lift for me. So I don't know, I was just excited to see what I could lift. Normally with deadlifts, I touch and go. So the standard was a little bit different, but I didn't really know what to expect. But yeah, no, that went really well for me as well.
When it comes to Australian female athletes, Tia Toomey and Cara Saunders get a vast majority of the attention down there. But Maddie Sturt is showing that she could very well be considered the next superstar in Australia.
Well, and I think it's really easy, Sean, for us to overlook Maddie Sturt, that she's been to the games 4 times. We overlook the fact that she's only 24 years old.
Right.
So she's been there 4 times, but she's only 24 years old, which means she could considerably be at the start of her athletic physical career. You look at Toomey Orr, she's 27 years old. Cara Saunders is 31. So Maddie Sturt, you know, 386 pounds right here. She's got a bright future at only 24 years old.
Yeah, right there with Rob Forte, not a bad guy to have on your side as well, all the experience that he brings. Meanwhile, Emma Tall, she's on top of the overall leaderboard, and she has been the picture of consistency through 2 events.
Right, and that's really what this weekend is going to come down to, Sean. You cannot have any throwaway events this weekend, and Emma Tall is setting herself up so well for that. You know, to have these top finishes under your belt and only 2 more to go, unless she makes a huge mistake, one of these 2 spots is Emma Tall's to take.
Meanwhile, we showed Saghafi in the deadlift. She took 25th in that event. She has a ton of work to do now with just 2 events remaining.
Right, and I hate to say this, but that 25th will probably be her demise, because now at this point, it's not just hoping that you have 2 phenomenal events remaining, but that other girls do really poorly. And you never want to be reliant on others doing poorly in conjunction with the fact that you have to do really well. So she did not set herself up well, in my opinion, for these next 2 events. But again, I think Fee has a bright future, and if it's not this year, it's going to be next year that we're going to see her come back.
Yeah, just 2 events remain in the Last Chance Qualifier. That is it for our coverage of event 2 for the men and the women. If you haven't already, be sure to watch our coverage of event number 1 with featured matchups for both the men and the women. We will be back tomorrow to wrap up everything, and also we will have featured matchups in events 3 and 4 for both divisions. For Annie Sakamoto, I'm Sean Woodland. Thanks so much for watching, everybody.